So I'm sitting here January 20th, 2013 with Mr. Tommie Lindsey at his Martin Luther King Invitational. And as I mentioned, we wanted to ask you some questions, of course. And I guess we need to start off with your early days, where you were born, your early schooling.
Okay. I was born in Mississippi, and my parents came to California when I was 3 months old, so I lived in Oakland all my life. I grew up in West Oakland, went to school at Clawson Elementary School. From there, I went to Herbert Hoover Junior High School. And then from there, my parents died at a young age, and so we moved to East Oakland with my grandmother, and I went to Castlemont High School.
Oh, Castlemont. Okay, I know that very well. Did you do any speech involvement in college or high school?
I did in high school. I mostly participated. We didn't have a forensics program per se. I competed in the Rotary and the Lions Club and the Optimist, and so I had a pretty good kind of foot on or a head start on the oratory part of it, and I was able to do extremely well because I was inspired by so many powerful leaders during the 60s, the Malcolm X's, the Martin Luther King's, the Stokely Carmichael, my pastor. Oratory was there.
Wow. Okay, no wonder you're a good speaker. What about your teaching career from the beginnings till now?
Well, first of all, to digress for a moment, I went to college at the University of San Francisco, majored in communication arts and social science.
Jerry Brown School.
Exactly.
Great. Did you do speech and debate there? They've had a very storied program.
I just did it for 1 year. Actually, Milan Jaish was one of the leaders in our debate program at USF.
I had no clue.
1 year.
Wow.
Yeah.
And who was the coach there?
Father Dempsey. And the tournament that Milan holds in Father Dempsey's honor is done every year, and it's a Dempsey. It's a Dempsey tournament. So.
The one in Santa Clara?
Santa Clara, correct.
Oh, that's who Father Dempsey is. Thank you. So what about offices you've held at the league level? I know NFL-wise.
Well, at Chess, in the GGSA, I've been the vice president for about 5 or 6 years. I have been on the NFL Council for, I think this is now my 10th year, and I have 3 more years to serve. I have served on the NIE-TOC committee for since its inception. I have been on a number of boards and throughout the community, primarily representing underserved students.
And that would be the main reason you would do it, since your humility is such that you probably wouldn't serve anyhow.
I let you come to that conclusion.
Thank you. I appreciate that. The next question is rather difficult for you, given even the wall that's behind you and the plaques and so on. But I was wanting to know some about your speaker's successes in forensics as well as later in life.
My students or my
students?
Well, one of the things is that there is a motto that you have to be able to give a voice to the voiceless, and I, as a teacher, we don't get that instant gratification, but the rewards come when students are able to go out into the field, to be professionals that are able to stand up and rise above, to be able to be the voice for whether it's the homeless, no matter if it's neglected children, whatever, to be a voice for the voiceless, and then that in turn pays me back. But that has been the model for this program since its inception.
And most certainly followed out. I just noticed one of your ex-students is chairman of urban debate in New York City.
Right, he was just acknowledged at the White House by the First Lady for having one of the outstanding after-school programs in the country.
Wow, I had no clue. Wow, see, yeah. And that's just but one. Out of thousands. That's incredible. Do you have any memories from state or nationals that you'd like to share that are noteworthy, humorous?
Well, I think one of the major accomplishments is that I could show students of color that there is the road or an avenue to success as long as they can believe in themselves and to carry themselves with the kind of respect and dignity. They have to work a little harder, but they can be very, very successful. And to be able to see them and underserved students just rise above is the reward that I receive from it all.
Wow, great answer. Thank you. How about any coaches that helped you out in your career over the years?
Well, you have, I mean, by being one of my first coaches. Tim Campbell has been just irreplaceable. He is very knowledgeable. Got very frustrated with some of the politics in forensics, and he has kind of resigned. Steve Wilson is a genius at what he does, and a number of coaches have lent their expertise. I would be foolish to say that I could coach and run a team of over 200 students, and to do it with the kind of accuracy and the precision that we have. It just cannot be done. And I salute those coaches who have helped to build James Logan's program, and I appreciate them. They're not only coaches, they have become very good friends.
That's great. I've often thought that actually creating a champion's not as important as creating another coach.
Correct.
And your coaches and your champions are throughout the nation. So that is very remarkable.
In addition, I think it's really, as I tallied the coaches that have come through this program and my students, there are about 15 to 16 coaches coaching on the college level, high school level, that are involved in forensics. And I think that is incumbent on every coach, is to be able, if we're doing our jobs as coaches, then our students shouldn't mind being teachers and to become coaches, because that's giving back the way it should be.
I could not have said that better. And insofar as Mr. Campbell that you were commenting about in politics, I would have to probably note that oftentimes legislation is made because of your effectiveness and your coaches specifically aimed at some of the
It's unfortunate.
envelope pushing.
Unfortunate, but my grandmother once said, "Through it all, behind the darkest cloud, the sun still shines." We right now, I believe, have more national individual champions in the country. We have over 58 state champions. So it's. Cesar Chavez said, "No force can withstand an army whose time has come."
Well put, thank you. What do you think, this is a tough one for you given your humility, but what do you think your greatest contribution to speech is?
To be able to show kids of color that if you work hard and if you do the things you need to, that you can inspire, and you can inspire youth. I don't believe there's another, and I might be wrong on this, but I don't know if there's another person of color on the CHSSA or the Hall of Fame.
Absolutely true.
That is, I was elected the first, African American ever to serve on the National Council. There's a reason why the Urban Debate League gets the kind of support that it gets from across the country, is that people are willing to support because they're able to go into communities and find kids of color or kids that are underserved, and to be able to let them enjoy and be a part of this activity.
Well put. What changes have you seen in either or both education and competition during your career?
Well, I've seen a number of changes. I think that a lot of concentration has been on what needs to be done to change the individual events. While we have watched policy debate die on the vine, I just really wish there would be kind of more of a balance, and that we would solicit the kinds of opinion from the people that were in the from the old school, if you will, to be able to help this go. I noticed that one of the other changes, younger coaches are not as dedicated as the older coaches. They want to be paid for every time, every time they breathe. and that's not how it works sometimes. You have to make the sacrifices, and sometimes you don't get paid immediately for it.
Correct, or at least not monetarily
Yeah.
paid, probably. What do you see as the future for California forensics?
I think there's a bright future. I think that if we realize where the political movement or how California is beginning to change, as well as a lot of the other, as the United States, that it's becoming more and more diverse, and that we need to be able to make an adjustment for that kind of diversity and know how to be able to reach out to communities where we can bring and involve students, of diverse backgrounds into the activity.
Very true. Was there anything that I didn't cover or anything? Sorry, I just got word that the 49ers are in the Super Bowl. That gives you some sense of time, at least.
And who doubted that?
I would have to fully agree. Anything that's not covered that you would like to add? A philosophy on speech, pet peeves?
Well, the thing that amazes me is a lot of people don't. They don't understand me, or they figure they don't understand. They think that I'm not a person you can communicate with. There's not a I'm not the I don't know what it is. I can't give the excuses for what it is.
Maybe intimidation. Intimidation.
Well, if it's intimidation, then they need to search within, because I have nothing to work and to inspire. In fact, I've helped coaches from across the country who've taken time to ask the questions. It's amazing how the nation and the MacArthur Genius Committee saw no intimidation, but they saw inspiration. And so, for those people that have those kinds of hesitation, I don't know what to tell you. And if you cannot address and deal with me, how can you deal with your students of color? How can you reach them? And so those are the kinds of things. I think it's misunderstood a lot. But if I were to look at my record, look at what my legacy is as an educator and a teacher, it would be that, changing lives, through service, and that can't be all bad.
Mm-hmm. Well, I know you did not want to do this interview, so I have to thank you profusely. And sorry to take you away from the 49ers game,
I did
your
not.
lunch and your tournament.
Well,
but thank you very much, and I appreciate your time.
When people of good character ask for favors, there's no hesitation in doing it. So
no wonder this took me about 5 years to get you to do it. That's great. Thank you, Mr. Lindsey.
Right.